Welcome to Links and Locks Action Network's Golf Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Lack, and I'll be joined alongside Action Golf contributor Tony Sartori for these Best Bets episodes. Tony and I will play 18 holes today, giving our 18 favorite picks for this week's tour event, the Sanderson Farms Championship. Okay, Tony, we are on the first tee here for our Sanderson Farms Best Bets. Get us started.
Yeah, I'm gonna kick us off in the outright market. I'm gonna go after Eric Cole at 40 to 1. So Sanderson Farms returns to Country Club Jackson, which has hosted this event annually since 2014. It's a par 72, about 7,400 yards. There are two things I really want to focus on at this venue. So first, 18.2% of approach shots come from the 150 to 175 yard range, which is the largest distribution of approach shots among any of the 25-yard range groupings. Since it is relatively easy to score here, I'll be looking at birdie or better percentage from that range. Secondly, putting matters here, and more so than most other courses we've seen recently. So last season, 4 of the top 5 finishers here ranked in the top 7 among the field in strokes gained putting. That was the only stat metric in which such a dominating trend occurred. And then that brings me to Cole, who has been one of the hottest putters among this field. He's gained true strokes putting in 8 of his past 9 tournaments. He's only missed 1 cut while adding 3 top 7 finishes across that stretch. He's kind of returning to that form that we saw when he kind of first came on the scene as one of the older rookies a year or two back. And finally, he ranks 43rd on tour in birdie or better percentage from the 150 to 175 yard range, which again, that's going to be one of the better marks against this field that's very watered down. So Eric Cole at 40 to 1 is where I am kicking us off this week in the outright market.
I'm going to stick with that part of the odds board and roll with Ben Griffin, 35 to 1. He actually lost this tournament last year in heartbreaking fashion. All that he had to do was shoot +1 in the final round. He shot +2, found his way into a 5-man playoff, ultimately losing to Luke Less, which I was not opposed to because I ended up having Luke Less that week, but I still think this is a great golf course for Ben Griffin. He's the #1 player this week, based on my numbers in my model. I think anytime you can get 35 to 1, there's still 30s available on the best player statistically that I have in my numbers. I'm going to take it. Hopefully, the scar tissue from last year isn't all that bad, and he's back for vengeance. He's one of the best Bermuda putters in this field. It's a golf course where you don't have to be a great driver of the ball to succeed here. It's got the lowest miss fairway penalty on tour. He actually made the playoff last year, losing strokes off the tee. Uh, Ben Griffin in the Southeast, he's still got a ton of upside on approach. He's played well on these types of golf courses in the past, obviously on this golf course and on this part of the country and on this agronomy. I am rolling with Ben Griffin 35 to 1 to get his revenge.
I like it. I'm going to continue in the outright market and I'm going to go after Harris English at 45 to 1. So the thing about English's game, especially recently, his short game has been great. He's well above the tour average in strokes gained putting, and he's gained true strokes putting in 3 of his past 4 events. So the short stick's not going to, or the flat stick's not going to be the issue. He's average off the tee, and again, there's decreased penalty, like you said, anyway, this week if he wasn't, but again, he's right at the average, so it doesn't really matter. The one thing that he hasn't done well recently is he's been a bit inconsistent in the approach game. The reason why I want to take him now, then, kind of buy low on him, is because, again, the majority of shots are going to come from the 150 to 175 yard range, and that is one of English's best ranges of his approach shots. He ranks above the tour average in birdie percentage from that range. He's comfortable from there, and like so, there's going to be a lot of forgiveness on missing fairways, anyways. So I just think there's a lot of ways, especially with how well the putter's been. If he's in his comfortable range, that kind of eliminates what's been his biggest flaw recently. That and the driver, which again, like you just said as well, the driver's kind of mitigated here this week as well. I just think you're getting a really good buy low number on English at 45 to 1, especially at a course where he just finished 6th here a couple years ago. So he can play this course well. Putter's been hot. The one thing that's been a little inconsistent is some parts of his approach game and the driver, but driver's mitigated here, and he's good from the distance that he's going to see a lot this week. So English at 45 to 1 is another play for me.
Unfortunately, it doesn't happen often, but we're going to go toe to toe a little bit on this one because I actually bet against Harris English in a matchup. I think I have a little bit more concerns with you about the recent form. The ball striking has just been so all over the map for me. I bet Chan Kim -110 in a matchup over Harris English. Um, I love the way that Chan Kim is playing right now. He ranks top five in this field in recent approach play. He's one of the better wedge players in this field. He's one of the better long iron players in this field. He's one of the better par five scorers in this field. He's one of the better birdie makers in this field. He ranks top 25 in all of those categories. I just think the ball striking advantage that he is showing us right now over English is not one to be ignored. So I am rolling with Chan Kim minus 110 in a matchup over Harris English.
I'm gonna continue back into the outright market and go after Justin Lauer at 55 to 1. So there's another guy again who his putter has been awesome recently, and that is the best part of his game, which I think could make him be in contention this week. He's just coming off one of his best performances that we've seen in quite some time. He finished seventh at the Pro Tour Championship, and that marked the seventh consecutive tournament where he's gained true total strokes putting. He has a top 25 finish in there at the Rocket Mortgage. That was against a field that's way better than what we're going to see this week. And again, he's kind of rounding really into form now with that seventh place at the Pro Tour. He's also above the tour average in birdie or better percentage from that 150 to 175 yard range. And again, then the final thing is, so what is he not the best at? And his main weakness is driving distance. And again, that's going to be pretty mitigated this week. You're going to get a lot of opportunities at these greens, and it's pretty easy to score. And he's got two appearances here. Both aren't great, which is why we're catching 55 to 1, but he has the experience and he's rounding into form with that recent seventh place finish. So I just think 55 to 1 is a targetable number for Lauer.
Yeah, back on the same page here because I have Justin Lauer first round later, 60 to 1. I bet Justin Lauer first round later a fair bet. He is actually I bet both of these players first round later at 50 to 1 and 60 to 1. Justin Lauer is the number one player in this field on easy golf courses in round one. I think the upside that he has with his putter, he is one of the best putters in this field, as you already outlined. Those are the types of guys that I'm looking to target in the first round later market. Those guys that historically play well in round ones, those guys who historically play well in Birdie Fest, those guys that have the ability on any given round to gain 3, 4 strokes with their putter and get out there and shoot 7 or 8 under. So I'm right there back with you. I got Justin Lauer 60 to 1 first round later.
Glad we're back on the same page there. I'm gonna do one more outright winner, and that's Taylor Moore at 60 to 1. So again, we're kind of getting our profile kind of down here. Great putter. Where's his errors lie? It's off the tee, especially in terms of accuracy. We're gonna get fairway forgiveness this week. The driver is really not gonna come into play too much this week in terms of importance relative to the other clubs in the bag, I should say. And also Taylor Moore, because of that profile. He's 3 for 3 on made cuts here. He's finished in the top 25 each of his past two appearances here, and he's facing a pretty weak field this week. And he's also made the cut in each of his past three tournaments from last season. One of those being 12th place finish at the 3M Open. Again, a little stronger field than what we're going to see this week. And at that event, he gained 1.57 true strokes putting. So the putter's been there. He's above the tour average. Looking at last season, he finished above the tour average in strokes gained putting. The one thing that usually hinders him is that accuracy off the tee, and that should be mitigated this week. So at 60 to 1, Taylor Moore is kind of a final dart throw for me in the outright market.
I'll go back and finish up with some of my outright plays as well. These are a little bit more of a long shots. I bet Cameron Champ 75 to 1. I just think the value that you're getting on a 3-time PGA Tour winner who has won on this golf course before and is one of the longest players in this field and has a ton of upside with his putter. He's won twice in the fall swing. He's won twice, actually 3 times on easy golf courses where par five scoring is really important. Distance off the tee is really important where you have to get hot on the greens. And he generally doesn't need to show a lot of form coming in to get those spike weeks. Usually it kind of comes out of left field. And he actually, I mean, I know he missed the cut at the Pro Tour. I was pretty impressed with his off the tee numbers. He's driving the ball great right now. He's got some good vibes on this golf course outside of the win. He also finished ninth at this golf course last year. I just thought 75 to 1 on a player of that caliber when there's players a quarter of the odds that have not even come close to winning before. I thought there's some value on that number, so I'll roll with Cameron Champ 75 to 1.
It's amazing how often this happens to us. I am on Cameron Champ in the first round leader market. So once
Yeah, we're always
uh,
reversed on
we're
these.
always reversed on these. But yeah, I mean for the same reasons you like he won here. The only reason I love him in the outright too, actually. He was the only reason I took him at the first round leaders. I also saw him at 75. I never saw outright 75. If I had seen that, I would have taken that over it. So I love the play just as much as you did when you gave it out. But I got him in the first round leader. It was 75 at the time. He, like you say, he's a winner here. He also was in first place after the first round that week as well. He also finished ninth here. And again, it's just that same profile that we keep highlighting. He's excellent putter. His one of his main weaknesses is the driving accuracy, and that will be forgiven this week. He also has had some nice performances recently. Finished 12th at the 3M and 45th at the Wyndham. Two tougher fields, and we'll see. So again, I just want to be too repetitive. Same reasons you're on him in the outright is the same reasons I'm also on him in the first round leader. I got it at a number that I thought was good at the time, but if I would have if I was just earlier to the party and got it like you, I'd have also been on him outright. So Cameron Champ, either outright or first round leader. That's where I'm right there with you.
Love that. Final outright play for me. I bet Nick Hardy 110 to 1. I just like the upside that I'm getting with Hardy. He's a player that I think has a lot of potential coming out of the University of Illinois. I've mentioned him a couple of times on this show. He's kind of had an up and down season, but there's been a lot of flashes of brilliance, particularly on, he popped up for me at this golf course again because he's played really well here. He's a fifth here 2 years ago. He's actually played here three times, top 35 finishes in all three appearances, including that fifth 2 years ago. He's been hitting the ball really well. He's coming off a performance at the Pro Court Championship where he gained over 3 strokes on approach. He's actually gained over 2 strokes ball striking in his last 5 starts. So I love the upside that I'm getting, the recent form, the course history with Nick Hardy 110 to 1.
I like that. I'm gonna go after Sami Valimaki, top 20 at plus 330. So he's a guy where I really like his upside. This is more of an upside play more than anything else because I think he's a very good young golfer on tour, which definitely is not a hot take. But I really like about him this week is that he's ever since the Olympics, he went back over to Europe and to kind of get back into form, and he's been hitting the ball well. He has two top 12 finishes over his 4 tournaments over there. Now he's coming back to the US to rejoin the tour, and this is I think the reason this number is honestly just so long is because he has never played here. He's never played at this tournament or this venue before competitively. But he profiles well for me. He's above the tour average in birdie or better percentage from that 150 to 175 yard range. And he's also an excellent putter. That's the best part of his game. He's well above the tour average in strokes gained putting. So I just think he's a young player who continues to get better. And top 20 in a field like this just kind of gives you a lot of leeway at a number like plus 330 for a promising young golfer.
Love that. I've got another. Actually, I'll do my top 10 plays first. I bet Jhonattan Vegas plus 375 top 10. He's a player that's been kind to me in the past. I hit him a couple months ago on this show outright, I think 60 to 1, something like that at the 3M Open. I don't know if he's going to win twice in 5 starts, but in terms of the player profile that I'm looking for, this is a Johnny Vegas golf course. You look at the Cameron Champ, the Luke Lest, some of these guys that can just get hot randomly on these very easy greens and bomb the ball off the tee, hit their long irons well, take advantage of the par fives. It's this golf course a lot like a southeastern Bermuda version of Torrey Pines or Corrales, where the holes are very straight, the holes are very flat. There's not a lot of intrigue to the architecture. It's pretty much just send it as far as you can off the tee, hit your long irons well, birdie the par fives, hope to get hot on the greens. That sounds like Johnny Vegas to me. So I bet him top 10 plus 375.
Glad one of us was able to get him on the card. He was literally like my last guy off, so I'm glad one of us was able to talk about him. I am gonna return to the or keep us in the prop market and go after Chandler Phillips, top 20 at plus 280. He's coming fresh off a 13th place finish at the Pro Court Championship. That marked his excuse me, that marked his fifth top 20 finish over his past 15 tournaments. That immediately makes this a playable number by napkin math, but we should like Phillips this week based on the course fit. His putter excuse me, sorry to choke up here. His putter has been on fire, gaining true strokes on the greens in 7 of his past 8 tournaments. He ranked 16th on tour this season in birdie or better percentage from the 150 175 yard range. And I think the only reason this line is as long as it is because Phillips missed the cut in his lone appearance here in 2020. But that doesn't really bother me because he was 23 years old at the time and just making his fourth start on tour. So he's improved a lot since then. He profiles well. He keeps finishing inside top 20 recently. So at plus 280, I'll take Chandler Phillips top 20 finish.
Love that. I am going to wrap us up with one more top 10 play here in Stephan Jäger plus 400, another guy that's been super kind to us in the past. We hit him earlier this season at Memorial Park in the Houston Open. Since that victory, Stephan Jäger hasn't been playing that great golf, and that's why I think we're getting some pretty good value on his betting number. Things are starting to turn for him, and this is the type of golf course that I really like him on, similar to Jhonattan Vegas. I like him on these longer, wide open, low miss fairway, par 72 golf courses. He's played well in Mexico before. There was a little Memorial Park in there too, where a low miss fairway penalty, you've got the ability to spray it off the tee a little bit. That's kind of Stephan Jäger's game. He's picked up a lot of speed. He's picked up a lot of distance. He bombs the ball off the tee. And I still think from a talent perspective, he's absolutely one of the better players in this field, similar to what you talked about earlier with Harris English. I just think this is a pretty solid buy low spot on Stephan Jäger. I don't know if he can win the golf tournament, but I do think he can contend, particularly in this field. So Stephan Jäger, 4-1 top 10.
I love that play. That number, it's crazy to think that that's where that number is now based on where it was earlier this season. That's a great buy low candidate. I'm gonna go back to the first round leader market for my last two plays, and the first one's gonna be Mackenzie Hughes at 40-1. So he's been bet all the way down to being the tournament favorite now. And I'd rather take 40-1 than 22-1 at that price differential. I believe it will be a huge advantage for him this week to be coming off a President's Cup appearance where the rest is not a single other person in this field was at the President's Cup besides Hughes. Yes, Hughes struggled, but that was against a level of competition that is just astronomically tougher than what we're going to see this week for the most part. And now he's going against an easier field at a venue that not only has Hughes won here before, he won here just 2 years ago. I'm just gonna take the better or bigger number at 40-1 on Thursday, especially because I think it will be an advantage having just come off such a stiff competition. And I think he's gonna be in form and ready to go on Thursday. So at 40-1, Mackenzie Hughes, first round leader.
Love that. I've got one more top 20 play and then one more first round leader play to finish this off. I'm going with Charlie Hoffman, plus 230, top 20. He's been quietly playing some pretty good golf. I still think he's got some left in the tank, and mainly the iron numbers were looking really solid for me. He's been driving the ball great. He's still a great long iron player. He makes a ton of birdies. He scores on these par fives. He's played well at this golf course in the past. He's a former top 10 here. And I just think this is the type of golf course that if we're going to see Charlie Hoffman pop up, it's going to be at this type of venue where he can take advantage of the par fives, hit his long irons well, spray the ball a little bit off the tee. He's still got plus distance for his age. So I'm rolling with Charlie Hoffman plus 230 to finish top 20 this week.
I like that. My final play is going to be Trace Crowe, first round leader at 80-1. Bit of a dart throw here, and I think it's just going to be more so because of course fit. I don't think he has the ceiling enough to take this tournament down over a 4-day window. But I think if he gets hot, he can absolutely take a round. He ranks 18th on tour in birdie or better percentage from 150 to 175 yards, which is pretty spectacular when you really think about that. The results have not really followed suit, but they're starting to. He finished 24th at the 3M Open, and then he finished 7th at the Wyndham Championship, and that's two of his past three tournaments. And the reason for those two kind of boost performances was his putter is getting hot as well, which should benefit him at a course that has historically benefited strong putters. It also helps that Crowe does rank above the tour average in strokes gained putting. I just think 80-1, yeah, it's a dart throw, and I'm not sure how high Crowe's ceiling is yet. I mean, he's still only 27 years old, just got his tour card a couple years ago, and he's kind of been bouncing between the Korn Ferry and the PGA Tour. But with that said, I just think there's worse numbers to take at 80-1 on a guy who is in solid form, profiles well, and is just coming off some strong performances recently.
I will finish this off with one more play in the first round leader market and go with Beau Hossler, 55-1 first round leader. Kind of the same deal that I talked about with Justin Lauer. I'm always looking for these guys that are some of the best putters in the field because on a one round sample size, you need a guy that can go low. You need a guy that can gain 3-4 strokes around the green, fill it up with his putter. We've seen Beau Hossler be first round leader in the past recently at tournaments, actually under easy scoring conditions. I want to say that he did it at the Wyndham, but He must be doing something pretty good in the first round because when I ran my numbers, he was right up there with Justin Lauer as one of the best first round scorers in easy scoring conditions over the last 12 months. So give me Beau Hossler 55 to 1 in the first round leader market. And that'll do it for our best bets episode for the Sanderson Farms. As a reminder, our action experts, Spencer Aguiar and Nick Bretwish, return with host Roberto Arguello tomorrow for our Sanderson Farms betting preview right here on the Links and Locks podcast. So for Tony Sartori, I'm your host, Andy Lack, and we'll see you back here next week on the Links and Locks podcast.